How many of you were in Dervish's session? I asked a couple of people this earlier. Dervish's session yesterday, Dervish Shadravan, Enterprise Forums, a few of you. Okay. So I saw a similar session, almost the exact same session at the SharePoint conference, and it was like sticking a knife in my heart. I'm one of the few people that love InfoPath. It was very easy for me to just jump in. I started in 2003, and that was even before they introduced the ability to interact with workflows in SharePoint. So I was actually using JavaScript behind the scenes to write workflows through InfoPath because I thought, hey, really easy, deploy my forms, and it does what I want it to do. InfoPath is still around. It's not dead yet, okay? But as you heard, if you were in his session, if you are building an InfoPath, it is important to consider how you're going to be using it and also to consider what other alternatives there are, okay? Because the other enterprise form solution that's coming out and maturing is the access form solutions. And if you want to learn more about that, he's going to be talking more about the access forms tomorrow. And I can't remember what time, but he will be doing that. So if you really want to learn more about that, be sure you go attend his session. In this session, we're going to talk a little bit about managers. Who's a manager in here? Either a project manager or manager of a team, something, okay? We're going to talk a little bit about who they are. Maybe you can recognize yourself in some of these scenarios. We'll talk a little bit about what they do, and then how SharePoint and InfoPath can help with that, okay? Whether you're a project manager, managing a team, managing a company, there's a lot of things that you have to do. So let's talk about who they are first, okay? I'm going to throw some pictures up there, and I've got a name for each of these people, and you may recognize yourself or recognize your manager, because all of us have managers, right? Do we all report to somebody? We all end up reporting to somebody, right? Even if it's at home. Okay, we have a manager there too. So maybe you recognize yourself, all right? This first guy I call Mr. Stressed. He's always just, you can't even talk to him. He's always frustrated and he's stressed about something. We've got a deadline, something's going wrong. We've got stress in our lives, right? This next one you may see, Mr. On the Go. He's our racer. He's ready. Let's get moving. Let's go, 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 go. And he's just always busy. Maybe you've got a manager more like this. Ooh, nitpicker. We may also call him the micromanager. Makes you feel about this big all the time, and he's always just on your back, right? Or maybe you've got managers like this. Yeah, cheerleaders. That's what we should be, right? We should all be cheerleaders and cheering on our employees because that's who makes us look good as managers, if we're managers, right? Maybe you've seen this guy, Mr. Angry. And he just seems to be always mad about something. Something's not going his way. He's never happy, never satisfied. Or this guy. We all want to be this guy, right? I want all of this at one time. My husband, who's in the room, will walk into my office, which is at my house when I'm working from home, and he'll look at my screen and he'll go, I don't know how you do it, because I've got like 4 chat windows open and 5 browser sessions and 2 instances of InfoPath and Word and Excel and everything open all at once, and I'm just going to town. And he's like, I don't know how you keep up with all that. But we all do it. We have to multitask. Well, this is what a lot of managers either feel like or we wish they had enough arms to do all of that at once, right? Maybe you've seen this guy. Mr. I'm going to smile and say, okay, yeah, but I'm going to tell you no. You're not getting what you want. You're never going to get anything. We're going to smile, and then we're going to do the opposite, okay? I've got had a lot of managers like that where I've said, hey, this is what we really need to do, and this is how it's going to benefit us, and they're all, yeah. And then when you walk out of the room, they do the exact opposite of what you say because they think they know better. Or maybe you've got this one. She's just barking orders. Go do this. Go do that. Go do the other. She's just going to bark in her megaphone and tell us what to do. We all wish we had this manager, don't we? Superman. But he's SharePoint man, okay? He's our SharePoint manager. He's got it all under control, okay? Because he's using SharePoint, right? This means yes, this means no. Okay. Or maybe you've got a manager that's more like this guy. He's just in his own little world, doing his own thing. Instead of Mr. Nitpicker, we've just got Mr. Picker, okay? He's just off in his own little world. Anybody had some managers like some of these guys? Do you sometimes feel like you're one of these managers That all you're doing is barking orders, or all you're doing is trying to multitask and you can't keep up? All right, so what do managers really do? Has anybody ever heard of the 3 R's? Oh, come on, somebody has to know what the 3 R's are. What are the 3 R's? So there's actually 2 sets of 3 R's that are pretty famous. One is for education, and it's reading, writing, and arithmetic. See, there you go, you did know that. The other one is reduce, reuse, recycle. Yes, so those are the 3 R's. Well, I tried to do 3 R's for management. I couldn't. I ended up with 10. And I could probably go on and on and on. And in fact, I counted them all out. I thought I'd counted right. And I was talking to one of my friends and I typed them all up. I said, these are the 10 R's that I'm going to talk about for management. And there were 11. He says, you got too many. And I went, crap. So I had to go cut one out and try to figure out how to make it work again. So here's my 10 R's. This is what managers do. They relate to people. They either relate to their team, because they have to build those relationships. They have to know who you are and how to get you to do what they need you to do. They also have to relate to some peers, because they have to be able to tell their peers, hey, no, you can't use my resource for that, or oh wait, you want them to do this, then I need to know how to explain then to my team how they're going to do this for you. So they build a lot of relationships. Okay? They have to be a referee. So, sometimes there's disputes at work. Do we ever have those? Nobody has disputes at work, right? Right. So they have to referee. So sometimes we've got some disagreements and I have to go in and calm it down as a manager and figure out what the real problem is and how we can fix it. And then we have to resolve. It means we got to make some decisions, okay? We got to decide we're going to do it, and then we got to go do it. Regulate. So they have to make rules, processes, keep things on track and on schedule. They have to do a lot of research sometimes, I need you to figure out how you and your team can accomplish X, Y, Z. Or our business goal is to reduce cost by X amount of dollars, and we want to do it by cutting out paper. Can you figure out how to make that happen? We want to go paperless. How can we make that happen? And so you have to start researching and figuring out how to do that and get the best information. They have to respond. And by respond, I mean taking action and responsibility. I wanted to use the word responsible, but it didn't quite fit in my list as far as the type of words I was using, so I used the word respond. By that, I mean they have to take that action, they have to be responsible for actions that are supposed to happen. They have to recruit, because we all want somebody on our team that's going to be the best person for our team, right? Okay, so they have to know how to recruit. They have to be able to make recommendations. That's what comes out of that research. So we can come back to whoever we're working with and say, okay, we've done all this research and I've worked my team and I've tasked them and this is what they've come back to me with. This is what we need to do. They have to reward, because who likes rewards? Every hand should be up. Everybody likes a good pat on the back now and then, okay? Even if it's just an attaboy, good job, good job. Those are great. Sometimes it's in the form of, a raise, right? Or a promotion. So we like those rewards. And then we also have to report. How many of you like to do reports? No hands. See, I knew that. So reporting is one of the things that they do either to their team, to themselves, or to their manager, right? Because almost every manager has a manager unless you're the owner of the company. And still you possibly report to a board of directors or something. We all report to somebody. All right? So let's see, how can InfoPath and SharePoint help us with that? Okay? So there's a couple of ways. Actually, I've got 3 slides here, and we're going to talk about them. So SharePoint lists. Lists can help us manage in a lot of ways. We have tasks lists. We can keep up with what our team is doing. We're managing one of those 3 R's. We're taking responsibility. We're taking action. You can also allocate your resources. So that's part of that relationship. So then you know what they're doing and when they're doing it and how long it's taking them possibly. Okay, that's another big thing is how much time is my employee spending doing X, Y, Z? I need to know. how long it takes for them to do this. So we can use some tasks lists to help with that. Projects lists. How many of us like projects lists? Anybody using Project Server? A couple of people are trying to use Project Server. Okay, I don't do Project Server. I think that it's a really great tool for heavy, intensive project management. It really, really is. But most of us are not in that level, right? So we just need something to help us keep up with the projects that we've got going on. So we can manage it by using either custom lists. In SharePoint, there's tasks lists that have the ability to have the Gantt chart. You can even sync them in with project, so you can kind of manage almost like Project Server. Okay? And then document libraries. Yes, sir?
I think there's a new project template in SharePoint 2003, 2013.
I think there is in 2013. Actually, it's kind of built into the team sites. We'll talk about that in the next session. But in 2010, we didn't have it. But you can do Gantt views of your tasks lists in 2010. So document libraries is another way that you can use SharePoint to help you manage your team. You can have documentation about things that are going on. You can store research if you're asked to do some of that research. You can have policies and procedures in there when you're asked to keep, this is how we're going to dress, how we're going to act, how we're going to behave, coming from like a HR management perspective. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with just straight out of the box SharePoint. I mean, this has nothing else in it but just SharePoint, okay? All right. Then we can add in InfoPath. Now here's where, some of you are still hurting from yesterday if you really loved InfoPath, because I know I'm still hurting from that, and they're telling me that, it's not going to be the enterprise solution that we thought it was going to be in the future, okay? We're going to move to another enterprise solution. So we have to look at InfoPath for what it is and what it can do, and we need to be very thoughtful about how we use InfoPath going forward, okay? Now I will tell you that the solution that you're going to see will upgrade, because you're going to see it upgraded in the next session. So it will work in 2013. But InfoPath has a lot of flexibility. Now what I've decided to use InfoPath for in this particular solution is to help us track time, track the progress that we're making, and then also to track inter-team cooperation, okay? A lot of times we don't know how to track that, and this gives us the ability to do that. We can look at tasks and see where you've been helping someone else. Now, when I show you the solution, please don't laugh at my task names and my project names. They are so super creative, and I put a lot of thought into them, okay? It's really Lori's task 1, Kathy's task 2, and yes, she's famous and she's in my project list as well. And then we have the other thing that we can do with SharePoint. This is all still out of the box. I've done no customization here at all, is reports. So when I'm talking about reports here, I'm not talking about the pretty fancy SSRS using SQL reporting services that does all the business integration. I'm talking about the real world stuff that we need. We need to look at how's our team doing right now. So it's those quick and dirty views. So we can do that by looking at SharePoint list views. You'll see that I've used several list views and built what I like to call a dashboard. And that's actually done by a SharePoint page. So we can use it as kind of a dashboard, as a management view of our team, quick overview. And then we also have web parts. So there's some web parts that you can use to create those dashboards. You can use filter web parts, which are really cool. The filter web parts are only available in Enterprise. Of course, InfoPath is only available in Enterprise if you want it in the browser. So all of this is based on the Enterprise version of 2010. And then you can also create charts using the chart web part. I've actually done that in this solution. And then also KPIs. I didn't use any KPIs in this particular one, but you could even go further. I was thinking about it today, that I could add a workflow to this that did a couple other things and then created this really cool pie chart. And I'll tell you about that as we go through the solution. All right, are you ready to delve into solution? Yep. All right, because the rest of it's all demo. All right. me pull it up. And here's our team site. Let me get over there. All right, and you can see I've just used the out-of-the-box team site. I did not make it pretty. I'm sorry, Kathy. It's out of the box. You didn't have time to help me. It's okay. So everything on this is all out of the box. I've used, this is not my team site that I want to be on. Let's see. Portal. There we go. I need to be on my Evolutions team site. I had to reboot, sorry. So I've built a basic team site. Now when you come here as an average user, and I'm going to open up a browser in private browsing so that you can see as a user what they would see. And yes, I'm signing in as you, Kathy. All right, so when I sign in as a user, on the home page, I get to see all of the upcoming events. So you can see I've made sure that y'all are aware there's a conference party tonight at 7:30. At the time when I built this, I didn't know where it was going to be. We now know where it's going to be. Then I have actually put Dervish's session on here for you. It's at 11:30 tomorrow. So y'all be sure and be there, right? Everybody's going to be there? Okay. And then I also put the Ask the Experts on here. So that'll be Wednesday afternoon. Y'all are all coming to the Ask the Experts, right? You don't want to miss it. There was some pretty creative questions last year. And hearing the answers from the guys that were up on the stage, I was not one of them, was really cool. All right. I can also look and see quick overview here of what the projects are that my team is working on. I'm part of the team at this point as Kathy. I'm just part of the team. I'm not a manager. All right. I can see all the tasks that are assigned to me over here, if I can find my mouse. Where did my mouse go? All right. There we are. So I can see all the tasks that are assigned to me that I need to be working on, and I have a lot of them. Lots and lots and lots of them. I have like 20 of them that are still open. See how creative they are? Kathy's task. And then issues. Now I did get a little creative with issues, and really it wasn't me that was creative. That's all Kathy. So I can see any issues and the projects that they're related to on my page. So hey, if I've got to work on contacting customer, or maybe I have a cat blocking my keyboard and I need to remove it because that's happened a lot, and I'm Kathy, so I just need to move that cat and resolve that issue. I can see it's assigned to me and it's still an active issue, okay? So this is for the user view. For the manager view, let me flip back to my other one. As the manager, of course, it may or may not be the same with your manager. I, as the manager, can still see the events, projects. I have no tasks assigned to me because I'm not doing any work, right? All of my tasks come from my team site that's up at another level, right? So I'm not showing any of my tasks here. Now I could roll this up if there was multiple teams. So I could use a content by query web part and have multiple team sites and roll it all up using that to pull those tasks from those sub-team sites all up to the top-level team site as an employee and see what my tasks are across all my teams. Okay, so it's very easy to do things like that. But I just did this by building out a calendar list. Pretty easy. Standard calendar list. Use the out-of-the-box tasks list. The default view, I created some different views, is my tasks. And of course, as the manager, I have no tasks assigned to me. But I can see any active tasks and who they're assigned to. So this is a quick report, right? I can just go right here and see what's outstanding for what users. All right? And I can say, oh, Kathy has 28 left, and oh, everybody's got so many tasks left. What have we got to do? And I can say, okay, well, why are these tasks still here? And I can filter down through and see what she needs to be worked on, help her prioritize. That's part of the relating, right? Okay. Sorry I'm picking on you, Kathy. I can come into my projects and I can see what projects are there. I can look at what projects are active. So any active projects, I can look at it really quick and say, okay, well, this is what we're still working on. I can look at this view and see what we've already completed this year. We've done a lot this year. We've done 5 projects already this year, completed them, okay? And I can see what's overdue. Oh, we've got 2 that are running behind. Why? So now I can go investigate and find out why we've got projects that are not meeting their target dates. I can look at that issues list and see if these projects are on that issues list. And maybe it's an issue contacting a customer and the customer is just not responding. If you're a consultant, have any of you ever had to try to contact your guy and they're out of office for vacation and nobody else can answer that question, right? So we log that as an issue. Hey, we're going to be behind because we can't get an answer on this particular question. So it allows me as a manager to quickly know what's going on. All right, and I can go to my issues list. I can see all of our issues. I can also, again, I have views so that I can see what's going on. I can see what's active and who needs to get to work on some things. And, you know, a few people have some things that they need to do. And why is the approval delayed? Well, of course, I'm signed in as the farm account, and for some reason, system account and farm account don't like each other, so don't worry about that filtering. But I can actually, if I was logged in as a manager that was a specific user and that was assigned to that manager, that would be the one that would show up. All right. So then I did another thing, and I created an InfoPath form because I also need to track their time. So this is my InfoPath form. I'm not going to go into the design yet. I'll pull up my reports form library. And I have it sorted here by week ending. You can see I've got totals of time, how much time is spent doing some specific types of things, doing the assigned tasks, helping with other people's tasks or their own, doing administrative time. How many of you like that term, administrative time? What usually just means that you're like reading email, right? Because we all get more email than we can keep up with. Vacation time, sick time, training time, and then of course, you know, if there's something else that you may be doing. So in order to fill that out, see if it works as me. It might work as me. Nope, not going to work as me. I didn't think so. I'm going to flip to my user, and we're going to fill out a report really quick. Sorry about the size of the resolution here. It's a little bit different than what I had on my computer. All right, reports, add a report, and it's going to load. While it's loading, it's actually doing some stuff in the background, okay? I have it pulling in. You can see it automatically pulls in who I am. I'm logged in as Kathy. What my title is, any completed assigned tasks. Now this, I actually have it filtered based on the dates up here. So it will show completed tasks. Let's see, let's go back to, oh, no, see it's gone. Let's go back to here. And you can see that it'll show tasks that were completed during that time period, okay? All right, I'm going to go back to today. She only completed 1 task. We're going to say it's been a week. And I adjusted the time dates up there so that I could filter out how much data I wanted to show. So she only completed 1 task this week, but maybe it was a really big task. So we're going to say she spent 10 hours on that task. All right, so here's where we can track our time and submit our time, and our managers can know what we're doing. But I've also not only completed that task, but I've worked on some other tasks. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That is not what I wanted there. Done some different stuff. All right, it was working yesterday. We'll figure that piece out in a second. But this should show a list of tasks, all tasks that are out there, where I can select the tasks that I'm working on that are mine, or maybe I've helped with someone else's tasks, and I could put in time towards that as well. I could show work on projects. So maybe I've worked on this particular project. I don't know, we've done something and it took us about 15 hours. And then I also worked on this project. No, insert item. I also worked on this project. And I've done, I don't know, something branding and design and creative, and I have no idea what she does. And let's just say we took about 8 hours on that. And how much is that? So now I've come down here and I've got some other time. This is just general stuff, okay? And I can say, oh, I've spent about 5 hours doing general admin. That's about an hour a day, right? Let's just pretend it was a 5-day work week. About an hour a day, checking emails, answering phone calls, general office stuff. All right. And let's say I attended a half-day presentation on branding and design for 2013, because I spent about that long in here today. And now I can look and see how I'm doing. This will turn red, so if I take this out, let's just take that number out. If I'm less than 40 hours, it's gonna show me, hey, what have you been doing this week? And maybe I have to put in that, oh, yeah, I actually took half a day off on Friday. So then I have to put in some vacation time and let people know that I've taken vacation time. I'll put my training back in there. And we can submit it. And it's going to submit it up here. We can see quickly how many people on our team have submitted their reports for the week. Usually it's done like on a Friday, right? You do a status report on a weekly basis. I know I have to. Okay. Some of us do, some of us don't. That's okay. Or we track our time. We have to enter our time clocks, daily, weekly, whatever the time period is. So this is one of the ways you can do that. And so we can come in here, we can see that Kathy worked 43 hours. Oh, she worked some overtime, so she's earned some comp time. She's doing really good, right? All right, so we can see what she's been up to, and we can see what the week was that was ending and all of these different things. All right, the other thing we can do is I've built a dashboard. So my manager dashboard, which is just another SharePoint page with web parts added to it. I've added, of course, I have my reports up here at the top, all my reporting. And look, I can also track hours worked. Oh, Kathy did not work very many hours this week, but she's made up for it here. Okay, so then I can go to her and go, hey, why did you not log so many hours that week? Well, maybe she knew she was coming to this training class and knew that she would be going overtime. And so we worked that out. But I can track it really quick by just using this. This is just the chart web part. That's all it is. You just add the web part to the page and do the configuration to it. So in one quick view, I can see that. I can see anything that's overdue. So a lot of us have tasks that we're way behind on that we need to fix. I can see projects that are overdue, all in one view. I can see any tasks that are due today. So if I had something that had to be done today, I can say, make sure we get this done today so that we don't have anything in that overdue column, right? I can also see active issues and what projects they're related to. So I can quickly go to that project, go find out what's going on with the project, see what's happening there, see if I can help with anything. And then, of course, we can see our active projects here. So this is just a quick, very down and dirty dashboard that you can create just very simply by creating some simple forms and web parts and linking them together. But as a manager coming in and being able to have that quick view of, hey, how's my team doing? And, oh, what's going on and why are all these tasks suddenly overdue? What's happened? Did something break? What's going on? It's a very quick view as a manager that you can use to help manage your team. All right, now we'll dive into the InfoPath side and I can figure out why this is not showing what I want it to show, but we'll get there later. my forms are not pretty. I don't do branding and design. I just do functionality. I let somebody else handle the pretty part. So if you wanted it pretty, you can ask somebody else to make it pretty for you. But in this form, we have some basic information we want to collect, their name and their title. Well, we could have them type it in, but that's kind of painful to do. It's much easier to come over and have that populated with a data connection. So how many of you have connected to the user profile web service in InfoPath before? Good, good. A lot of you have. So that's basically all I've done here. For those of you who haven't, you can create a data connection to a SOAP web service, and it is just the URL of the site that you're using, and then /_VTI_bin/ user profile service.asmx. It's pretty simple. You just use that URL to connect to it. And the user profile service actually gives you, and it's going to take it a second here, and of course I'm going to have to all right, I know I'm typing it right. Oh, no, I'm not. Sorry. There we go. Now it likes me. Sorry about that. And then you have a lot of different operations. Now, if you were looking at web services have what they call methods. That translates to operations inside InfoPath. So all your web services have some kind of operations that can be performed. The one we will use is get user profile by name. And it's just a string value. And we do not want it to store a copy. And in this particular instance, we want it to automatically populate that name for us by whoever's opening the form. So we're going to have it automatically retrieve that data when the form opens. And then we can come into our fields that are in our form and connect those to the fields that are in that secondary source. Let's see if I can get it to open correct. There it is. So this is what that secondary data source looks like. It's not very much help, is it? Unfortunately, you have to then do some research. So the value is the actual value, and you will always use that. But then you have to filter it. And you filter that by using the name of the value. And this name comes from that internal name. If you've ever looked inside the user profile service at the properties, is anybody also the admin of their farm and can see those properties in central admin? Okay, if not, you can get your admin to get you that information. But that internal name, and it has to be case sensitive, is what you have to put in here. So the value that you want from that field in their user profile is what you would put in here in that internal name. And it's like preferred name, capital P and N, gives you their display name. There's SPS, all caps, dash, job title with a capital J and a capital T, brings you their title. Work email, capital W, capital E, brings you their work email. So there's a lot of different information that you can pull out of their user profile and automatically populate the form. And so that's what we've done here, is we've just created that filter to show us only their username for this field. We also did the same thing for job title. We just have it filtered where it's SPS-job title, okay? All right, so we have that automatically populating. The other thing we have is I actually have some hidden fields down here to help handle the submitted action. And then I've created some other fields here. Now this section here on our tasks is actually coming from a list. It's just a SharePoint list connection. So we're just connecting straight to that list, telling it to pull in all the information, and then we're filtering that information that's going to show in that list. And we're doing it by two ways. So the first thing we're doing here is we're using a query. So you always have query fields. So what we're doing, let me click on here, is it week ending? I think that has it. And we're using rules. So when the week ending is populated, which I have it automatically defaulting to today's date, I have it done that way, but I also have them the ability to change just that one value because maybe they were out on Friday and they need to fill in their status report the next day. So you always want to make sure that you think about how your users will use the form when you're doing that as well. So when that is populated, it's going to set a field's value. Now the fields that it's setting are on that secondary data source. So it's setting the assigned to field to be the same as the display name, and it's setting the status to be completed, okay? So it would return all of the tasks that were completed by that user, just all of them. So we have it returning all of that up front. But then what we've done is we've come to the table itself and we've set some formatting properties. So if the modified date of those values does not fall within that week, then we don't want it to report because we know they didn't complete it then during that week, right? It was completed at some other time. That's how we can filter that list to show just the ones completed during that week. Because you can't set the date as a query field to just show me the ones modified by a specific date, because then it's only going to return that one date, right? So we want to know that whole week. So we say anything was modified less than the beginning day of this week and is completed, we don't want to know about. So that's what we've told it to do to create that second layer of filtering on the results that are pulled in from that list. All right, then I've created another list. This is again just a list connected to the tasks list, and I'm just using it as part of my drop-down filter here. And this is where I can see why I'm not doing it. So we have the additional tasks, which is, just show me all the tasks. I just want to see them all. And I've got a filter here that says show me everything that's modified this week. So that's been modified since the beginning of this week. Maybe that was the only one that's been modified in those dates. Maybe that was my problem. So anything that's modified this week, show me those tasks, because my employees are trained when they go in and they do some work on a task, they're supposed to put some notes in there, right, Kathy? Okay. So everybody's going to go in and put notes. So we know that if it's been modified this week, somebody's worked on it. Okay, and they can put in what tasks they've worked on. All right, and then we just have it displaying the title of those tasks. Pretty simple there. Same thing with project. We have it filtering on projects that are not completed. So only if the status of that project doesn't say completed, pull it into the list so we can do work on them. If they're completed, we shouldn't be doing work on them, right? This means yes, this means no. Okay. Are we still working on completed projects? Okay, thank you. All right. And then down here, we've just got some basic fields. Now, what I've done here is I've actually totaled each section just by doing the sum. It's a very simple function within InfoPath, so we can look at those as well. Let me see, project time. So it's just a sum of that field. And then the last one is actually an addition of all of those other fields so that I can track and see how much we've got. All right? And then I've also assigned, let me pull back my rules manager, some conditional formatting on that last total so that if it's less than 40, we get a big red number so we know, hey, something's not quite right. Now, it's not going to prevent us from submitting it because that may be approved for a specific reason. But you can also do that. If they don't have 40 hours, they can't submit. There's a lot of different rules you can do there as well. All right. So that's the form itself and how we do it. And I've actually just published this to the site library as the form there. You could make this a site collection content type. Sorry about that. My mind just went blank. So you could actually publish it as a content type, publish these out as site columns. You could use it in multiple report libraries, especially if you're managing lots of teams. So you could have one site collection where you're managing a lot of teams, and each team site then gets their own report library, and they can build their own dashboard, and then you can roll all that data up to the top level as well. And then the other thing I thought about, because you could also add, is a workflow. And what I thought about doing, and I just didn't have time to do it, was adding a workflow to the form library that every time it was submitted, have a custom list that has those the hour categories, so how much time is spent doing time, and just increment by whatever the submission is, so just add those hours to the values, and then you could use the chart web part to create a pie chart. So we already have one chart on there that's the graph of how many hours people are working. We could have a pie chart that tells us how much and what percentage of time is being spent doing projects, what percentage of time is spent doing specific tasks, what percentage of time is doing admin work. So we can then kind of see how our team is working as well on that chart graphs. And I just didn't have time to do all of that in this as well, but all of that would work. And all of this is just using the out-of-the-box stuff. There's no additional customization here. And this will upgrade because you're going to see it. So we will do that. And so that is basically the simple way to create a solution. Let me minimize this guy back down to help manage your team. Do we have any questions?